Welcome, everyone, to the Monthly Movie Dispatch, the movie review show from friends you can trust. Every week, we broadcast and review a new film, talk about some film news, and recommend what to watch. We've been talking, critiquing, and gushing over movies since we were in high school, and we aim to bring you real talk about some real movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Sean Bowlby, here with my brother, Brandon Bowlby.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Today we're going to be talking about the new prequel to the hit television series, The Sopranos. It's called The Many Saints of Newark. A prequel movie to this show that is one of the most highly regarded television series of all time.
Maybe
And
coming up around 15 years old now.
yeah, I guess that's true. When did it?
A prequel nobody asked for,
Uh huh.
but has some interesting reasons to exist.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get into that side of things in the featured review. But yeah, let's. I kind of wanted to talk about the Sopranos. It's one of
Where to
the
start?
one of the greats. It's you know, it's was kind of early HBO, and it was HBO's one of HBO's first big hits. I think like
Yeah, I
their
think it's maybe like their second or third. There was Oz,
yeah,
there's Sex in the
Sex
City,
in the
and
City.
there's The Sopranos,
Hmm.
1999. So that's early in this kind of high quality television dramas.
Yeah, definitely, and they were one of the first to really break out of the mold of the network television series.
Hmm.
The dramas, which were pretty repetitive in the 90s and onward. You had your X-Fileses and you had your Twin Peakses, and there was some
Hmm.
good stuff, but HBO was really the network, the cable network that was delivering on some really interesting
Premium
content back then. Yeah,
content.
premium content. They
I
also
still think you're seeing like waves of it just with like streaming
mhm.
media and Netflix and Hulu and
Yeah,
like
definitely.
it kind of spawned from HBO, spinning up a new network
Yeah,
uh
even like
of
AM.
high quality televisions.
Yeah, high quality television that could compete with the network television.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, you also saw it with like AMC in the mid to late 2000s with like Breaking
Hmm.
Bad and um, Walking Dead and some other really popular TV shows at the time. But yeah, it kind of started with HBO, and one of the more popular ones is Sopranos. But yeah, so what when did you get into the show? The show originally aired. Let me see. Can I find this really quick?
Aired in 1999,
Yeah, started in 1999. I was certainly
ended in
late to the
'07.
Yeah, I was certainly late to the party. But when did you get into the show, and how did you get into the show?
No, I was late to the party as well. I did not watch The Sopranos until I moved to New York City.
Wow,
There's a handful of like
New
shows I
York,
watched
not
alone in my
Newark.
New York, not Newark, New
Yes,
York. There's
New
a
York.
handful of shows I watched alone in my apartment when I first moved here. And Sopranos, I think, was literally the first one that I went through.
Wow.
Hmm. So I was late for sure. It was
Hmm.
like 2012 or 13 or whenever I moved here.
Yeah, I think that is. I'm trying to think. That's probably earlier than me. I was probably mid-teens, not too
Okay.
many years ago, that I got into it. I'm trying to even remember where I was living at the time. But yeah, and yeah, I kind of got into it. Nick has always been talking about the
Hmm.
show. It's one of Nick's favorites. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure if he would put it at that number one slot, but he is very into the show. Um, but yeah, let's we got some questions here that we were going to talk about, and let's start out with who's your favorite character, Brandon, from The Sopranos?
always said it's Carmela. I think and a lot of it is just she might be the best actor on the
Hmm.
series. And she goes through a lot and her full range of emotions on display. Also, I just like how smart and intelligent and witty and quick she can snap back.
Yeah,
She is an awesome character.
definitely. That would probably be who I would pick, but I'm gonna pick
Oh,
some.
really? Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I mean, obviously, it's centered around Tony Soprano. He's obviously the most complex character in the show, and he's an easy pick. It is one of the shows that um, you know it, you could very much like the main character is probably the most interesting character. But I would also like um, for me the therapist too.
Yeah.
I'll because you picked Carmela, I'll go with the therapist. Uh, Jennifer Melfi. um, she. I mean, I think she is the core of the whole show. She's the one who's asking the thematic questions of the show, and she is the one there face to face with Tony, confronting him. And to me, the central question of the show is, it, you know, is Tony a good person? Is he a good person who has had a hard life, who's been kind of forced into a life that has made him make certain decisions, or is he just a narcissistic, um, uh,
Mafia
horrible,
crime boss.
yeah, horrible human being? And I think that their interactions, Tony Soprano's and her interactions are easily some of the most interesting stuff ever put on television. And
Hmm.
yeah, so definitely have to give her a shout out too. And
Yeah, good
obviously
pick.
James Gandolfini. You said Carmela is what is the best actress. I mean James Gandolfini is you know he's truly incredible.
Yeah, but Nurse Jackie. But
Yeah,
yeah, we
Nurse
can't we
Jackie. I
can't short
love
shrift
Nurse
him.
Jackie. Eddie Falco is the actress Carmela who plays Carmela Soprano. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, James Gandolfini is it's a truly amazing performance by him. Yeah. So, what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite season? And what might
I
that be?
do. I am okay. So Nick sent this list of like every episode ranked
Yeah.
of Sopranos, and while I think they had a good mixture, I did see them skew like season one and two very heavily.
Yeah.
I'm kind of opposite. Um, I think the show in a lot of ways gets better. I don't
Uh,
know if that's just because like it gets cleaner and its budget gets larger, but I think the show also kind of gets deeper as it
mm,
goes, and the writing also gets stronger. So I just think I've seen it once, and I think season six is might be the best season.
yeah, I actually completely agree. I think I
Okay.
would legitimately say um, every season gets better than the last. I
All right,
think,
glad you agree.
yeah,
I know
I
some people
think
like highlight
literally
the
my
early
ranking
early years.
is number one is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and that very well could just be my how I was enjoying the show or how I was watching the show. Um, because from what I remember, it took me a long. I didn't just like binge watch the show. It took me a while to watch it, and as I watched the show, just progressively each season got more and more invested, more and more interested in the characters and what
100%.
was going on, and yeah, because I mean, really, the show isn't like a lot of shows nowadays in that it doesn't really have big overarching storylines that are playing out over the course of seasons. Um, it's a lot more, and it's not even necessarily episodic. either.
No, it's so much
It's
less structured
yeah,
than
it
even
really
things
does.
we get now.
Yeah, it doesn't have much structure, and um yeah, so it's not like other shows where you can clearly break up the seasons, and
Hmm.
yeah, so it's definitely uh because of that, your investment in the characters is what really, for me, like, and by the time you get to the sixth season, the investment in the characters and the understanding of the world is what really brought, got me.
Yeah. I guess you're saying you're not sure if
Hooked.
it's just by actual quality increase or
Yeah,
maybe just quantity increase,
yeah,
and you have no
yeah,
choice but to say season six. That's
yeah,
interesting. Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, what do you have a favorite episode? There's so many great episodes. Do you have a favorite episode?
It's it's hard. So I mean, like the classic long term parking. You know, 2/3 of the way through season four
Mm-hmm.
is kind of the famous episode, which I have seen couple times now. For some reason, I haven't seen the whole show, but I've seen that episode a couple times. That episode is remarkable and probably the best. But when we talked about this earlier, the episode that I wanted to highlight that always stood out in my head was it's called Kennedy and Hyde.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's in season six, B, midway through, when Tony Soprano kind of escapes to go to Las Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of has
Mm.
his this like solo adventure.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a really like beautiful episode with an incredible ending. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, that episode always just stood out to me. It's just that, like I said, season six is the most quality, and that episode really highlighted that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That is an incredible episode.
Mm.
I think for me, I gotta say, the episode that oh god, I just had it up. I have to admit, I'm not like super familiar, and I'm a little unprepared for this part of the
Hmm.
episode. But yeah, the episode that really, for me, really put on display how incredible the show was. It was like the first episode that, just absolutely blew me away. Um,
Hmm.
is was the episode Employee of the Month in season 3. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I looked at, if you don't
Season
know,
three.
yeah, season 3
But you're
is,
really stressing the absolutely blew you away,
yeah,
right?
absolutely
You
blew
already
me away.
obviously you liked the show up
Yeah,
until that point.
very, yeah, love the show. But like, really this was the episode that really made me understand that the show was operating on another level than what I was really viewing it as.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's in the way that episode ends, in the whole, because it kind of in a lot of ways switches perspective, and becomes about the therapist for an episode, and
Yeah.
it kind of follows her
One of your
struggles
favorite characters.
yeah, yeah, definitely, outside of Tony Soprano, and it's just really an incredible episode. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess those are our thoughts on The Sopranos. Do you have any other, like, big
It's
picture thoughts on it, or?
I don't know. It's one of the all-time greats. There are few shows that you could say are better. Very few.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, me and you are Wire fans over Sopranos, but who's comparing? Like, I think even though this show started in 1999, if you want to know like the history of how we got to where we are now in the grand scheme of television,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to see The Sopranos. It will not
Absolutely.
disappoint you,
Yep.
and it holds up. It is absolutely quality filmmaking.
Yeah, completely agree. Um, I guess my last question about The Sopranos is, I have to give a bit of a spoiler alert, because probably the most controversial thing about The Sopranos, and maybe even the thing that, if you don't know anything else about, is that the ending is very, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about the ending.
Yeah.
It ends very abruptly, and the way that it ended the show, for some people it rubbed them the wrong way, and they walked away with a bad taste in their mouth. For other people, They thought it was absolutely genius. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the show, maybe take a jump forward 3 minutes, and this is a bit of a spoiler alert. The ending doesn't really spoil any plot points, but yeah. So jump ahead a couple minutes. So yeah, what's your take on the ending?
It's funny because like I remember when it like in 2007 when I was not watching Sopranos when this ending happened,
Yeah.
and the world saw the episode around me, and it instantly came through the grapevine pre-social media, and everyone was talking about it. It was
Mm-hmm.
like it was written about, it was talked about, and so it's just kind of crazy how big in the zeitgeist that ending hit. And I mean, like that alone, like is is credit where credit's due, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can do that. You can make someone love or hate something, and be polarizing. That's already pretty special. I think it's incredible, not just because it says so much without saying so little and that kind of stuff. I think it's incredible because it was so perfectly done.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was executed, not just what the idea is, but they executed that idea
Mm-hmm.
remarkably well with the editing, the shots, him going to the bathroom. The moment it cuts is be perfect. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
literally think of a better frame
Mm-hmm.
or like song lyric.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's just like the execution on
Absolutely.
this crazy idea is
Yeah.
perfect.
You can't say they didn't know what they were doing. You love it or
Yeah.
hate it. You can't say that they didn't know exactly what they were trying to do with it,
Yeah.
and that they didn't execute it exactly how they wanted it to be executed.
Mhm.
Um, do you do you want to talk about what you think happened at the end? Um,
Oh. Well,
well, why
Sean,
don't
it
I?
doesn't matter what happened.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, I think so. My initial viewing of it is different from what I think it is now after kind of exploring what other people thought of it.
Hmm.
Initially, I kind of thought it was just my take on it was that it's just this is now Tony's life. He is going to continue on, paranoid and a kind of broken person, and he's
Yeah.
going to always have to be living his life looking over his shoulder. And the paranoia of that is kind of how that scene is playing out.
Right.
Um, I am fully on the side of those. That was the last moments of his life,
Hmm.
and I think there are some brilliant, like, I don't know if they were pieces that were intentionally planted early in the show or earlier in the show, or if they just utilized certain ideas that were explored earlier. But the way that the scene was shot and put together. Kind of, yeah. I've been convinced that that was the intention behind it.
Yeah.
What are
I
your
mean, I feel
thoughts?
like I don't need to recap it because
Yeah.
like you gave the two opposing sides, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one is the obvious one. The impending doom for the
Mm-hmm.
rest of his life, the paranoia. Um, but it also works as just a beautiful ending, just in a diner to this storyline,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't need to actually see the next 5 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Both ways works. I'm not convinced one or the other, but I don't know. You described them well.
Yeah. Maybe I'll show you. I forget what the video was. It may have been, I think it was
Yeah,
Cinefix or something that really breaks it down.
that's cool. Yeah,
Maybe
I
I'll
want to
link
see that
that.
actually.
Maybe I'll link that in the doobly doo.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys can watch it and see what you guys think. Um, but yeah, well, we've kind of been going on about Sopranos a bit long, so let's jump into our featured review
More
of,
Sopranos.
yeah, more Sopranos, that no one asked for, but we'll talk about that later.
Uh-huh.
Um, the Many Saints of Newark is the new prequel. It's a prequel to The Sopranos. It's directed by Alan Taylor, who was a very prominent director in the series The
Yep.
Sopranos. You think he directed maybe 13 episodes
Yeah,
throughout
probably the
the
most
show.
prominent reoccurring.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think he's like second or third most prominent director. It was written by David Chase, who, was one of the creators of the show, and
The creator.
one
Or
of the, I
you're
think
right,
there were two.
one
Yeah,
of the creators.
one of the
But
creators.
he's the prominent one.
Yeah. And he was, probably the most, I guess I didn't look this up specifically. I think he is the most prominent writer of the show as well.
Mm-hmm. And he directed a lot of episodes as well.
Yeah. So if you're going to have a team to direct or to make a prequel, that's the team that you would pick.
They produced it too. It's the whole crew. Like it's, you can talk about, the cash grab who, did HBO bring it to them? Did they bring it to HBO? But if you want a prequel or sequel, this is the crew to do it.
Yeah, for sure. The plot description is a look at the formative years of New Jersey gangster Tony Soprano, who is growing up in one of the most tumultuous eras of Newark history, becoming a man just as rival gangs start to rise up and challenge the all-powerful DeMio crime family. It's starring Alessandro Nivola as Dicky Moltisanti, the main character of the show, the more featured character of the show. Leslie Autumn Jr. Harold it plays Harold McBriar, kind of one of the rival gangs that is rising up against the family. This actor actually also played Aaron Burr in Hamilton. That was kind of interesting. John Bernthal played Johnny Soprano, Tony Soprano's father. Corey Stoll played Junior Soprano, his uncle, who's one of the prominent characters in The Sopranos, and Michael Gandolfini, the big kind of news story of this movie is that James Gandolfini's son, Michael Gandolfini, plays younger Tony Soprano, kind of a teenage Tony Soprano, which is pretty
crazy.
Cool.
That's cool and crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
That they that they put that together and they made it work.
Yeah, again, like if you were gonna have a pick your dream team to make this movie, this is it. And then
imagine being his son and going through that and getting this opportunity and accepting it to play your dad.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of, a lot of me thinks, and I'm sure we could have read more of this, that maybe this is some of the basis of this film is that they wanted to do this, they probably went to him first.
Yeah.
And before doing anything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Has he done anything else? Does he have many?
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him in anything else. The last one is Ray Liotta was in this movie. Twice. Playing twin brothers in this movie. He plays Sally Moltisanti. This movie is available in theaters and HBO Max. Where did you see it, Brandon?
I saw it on HBO Max.
Yeah, me too. Really wish I could have made it out to theaters, but it actually wasn't playing in the closest theater to me. Okay. So I was kind of pressed for time, so I had to watch it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
But
I had my headphones on. I was close to the screen. It was loud. It's like being in a theater.
So I guess right off the bat, what I wanted to talk about is that this movie is not, so it's a prequel, but it's not the kind of prequel that you would want to watch before you see the series. If you were on one hand, it has quite a few pretty major plot spoilers for The Sopranos. Pretty much right off the bat in the show. And at the same time, it's also not really, I don't think this is a super enjoyable show without having seen The Sopranos. I think a big part of the enjoyment of the movie comes from seeing the characters and really just kind of adding context to Tony Soprano's life.
Hmm.
But it really, in a lot of ways, isn't enough to, in my opinion, hold its own for
I agree with that.
yeah, for stand alone as its own movie. So I highly
It's
recommend.
not like when me and you went to the theaters to see Firefly or Serenity,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a
and
good
that's a
example.
full blown movie. Though
Yeah,
it adds a lot,
yeah,
but like we started there, and
hmm
it still can be a good movie on its own.
yeah, definitely. Um, or like I don't know. I'm trying to think of other prequels that do the same thing. Like I don't know, good, the bad, and the ugly. But anyways, so yeah, it's definitely not a prequel that you would want to start with. And but at the same time, it is an interesting movie with what they choose to, how they choose to make this, or what they choose to make the movie about. And this was actually, I missed this because I kind of intentionally avoided any kind of advertisements or um, trailers or anything. But the actual poster for this movie is it says who made Tony Soprano, and I think if I had known, um, if I had been more aware of what the movie actually was, I may have actually enjoyed it a little bit more throughout,
Mm.
because it's I was half expecting a more typical um, prequel sequel type thing where they, especially
Hmm.
prequel, where you um, it's just kind of going over um, I don't know, rehashing the main character of the original property. And this movie very much is not about Tony Soprano. He is kind of the emotional and thematic core of the movie, but he is very much not a main character. He's kind of a side character throughout the movie.
Yep.
And it's really about the main character, uh,
His favorite uncle.
yeah, his favorite uncle, Dicky Moltisanti, Christopher Moltisanti's father, if you've seen the show, and kind of his life and his kind of coming up in the family, and yeah, kind of the struggles that he went through, and really exploring who he was as a person and how he has as a person influenced who Tony Soprano would become.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good idea
it
from
is
the start.
it's a really interesting idea, and I think it, because of that, it avoids a lot of prequel missteps. It's not answering questions that no one was asking. It's
Yeah.
like it's not it keeps it interesting because you're not rehashing things that you already know from the original property, and it and because of that, I think it, in a lot of ways, it makes it an interesting experience. But at the same time, it perhaps also is a bit of a downside because it isn't really exploring the Sopranos. It's not directly adding to the Sopranos, and very much, I mean, most of, if not a lot of what happens in this movie has virtually no effect on Tony Soprano, because Tony Soprano isn't even aware of almost everything that is going on in this movie. Um,
It's an interesting it's an interesting plot to base this around, and I like what you're saying about this allows it to be more unique,
mm-hmm,
focusing on the favorite uncle, what influenced Tony Soprano. But I feel like the percentage split between the storylines wasn't very nailed down very
mm-hmm,
well because I too didn't watch any trailers and didn't know what I was going to be watching. But I feel like we maybe didn't get enough of anything
mm-hmm,
in a lot of ways. I don't think, and like it kind of did make me wish I had gotten more of Tony Soprano because by the end it made me think I needed to feel more for
mm-hmm,
him. Um, and and we're dealing with this like such a large family and side plots and side characters and hustles and different people like killing different people. And I don't, they're even with I'm forgetting names, the uncle main character,
Junior
um,
or the main character.
uh, the main character.
Yeah,
I feel like things were short
Dicky
shrifted kind of all
Moltisanti.
over the place. His mistress, his wife, um, the
Yeah.
different things I didn't think got enough attention because maybe the movie was about too many different people and too many
Hmm.
different
Yeah, his
things in just two
father,
hours.
and I mean, there's yeah I mean, that's definitely the thing. There's so many different stories happening simultaneously. There's like the whole there's some stuff going on with Tony Soprano. Or even like pretty subtle things going on with
And the
Tony
uncle's
Soprano.
uncle in the
Yeah,
prison cell.
yeah. And then there's the story of the wife and his girlfriend, the main character's girlfriend, um, and then his
His
father. That's
brother
his
going
story
to
with his
prison.
father and his brother going. Yeah, there's like so many stories, and then at the same time, there's the Harold McBride or McBriar story of the
Yeah, which is
I guess
huge.
which is a huge part of the story, which largely doesn't really play out to a conclusion in
At all.
I mean, yeah, pretty much at all, because
It
I
doesn't
mean,
come full circle.
yeah,
And
doesn't come full
well, this
circle.
is getting into
Yeah,
spoilers. Let's touch
definitely.
back
Yeah,
upon
yeah,
that in
yeah,
spoilers.
definitely.
Um,
And
Agreed.
then Junior Soprano as well, and then Johnny Soprano, who is like off in prison, and that's who you're talking. Yeah, Johnny Soprano, the father, was off at prison, and then he comes back. And anyways, yeah, we are kind of getting into spoilers
I
here, but
and then we have Christopher narrating it
yeah,
for some reason.
which I have to say, that opening shot was incredible.
Yeah, the
Going through,
narrow depth of focus tombstones and just
yeah,
other people speaking. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
like
I like
going
that.
through all these dead people and them just kind of almost, was it them narrating their own
Hmm.
story?
Yeah, different
And
pieces of
then
their lives. Like
and then it
we get to Christopher's and
yeah,
he's
and then it moves
narrating the
on to,
story.
yeah, Christopher, and he starts narrating his own story. That like gave me chills. It's giving me
Hmm.
goosebumps right now. That is such a brilliant way
Yeah,
to
the
um
shot looked amazing too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Such a
The
brilliant way
actually, I mean, let's
to
say that the
open the
whole
movie.
movie looked really good.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yes.
this had a really high production value.
Hmm.
Cinematography was clean. It being a period piece is always hard. I think they nailed a
Yeah,
lot of it.
completely
Obviously, it's
agree.
still just an HBO show,
It
but
had a pretty
or
high
like,
budget. I think it had a budget of like $50 million.
okay, yeah,
I mean, which is
it looked really good.
for a, yeah, I mean, just a drama with a, mostly dialogue drama. That's a reasonably high budget, and
Hmm.
it definitely looks like it. Um,
And it's not like the Sopranos series, while having a great budget, didn't have much like a ton of visual flourish on top
mhm.
of it. It was kind of
I mean,
delivered more deadpan to you.
it started out being shot on in 3:4 aspect ratio, so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
So yeah, like this movie as well doesn't have a crazy amount of visual flourish, but it's there was a few highlights, like you're saying, that opening at the
mhm.
cemetery
I you
and on
know
the big
I'll
dramatic scene on the beach.
I
Some
actually
stuff looked really
I
good
thought
there.
the entire movie looked incredible. Um, I will definitely say that
The
it
colors,
yeah,
the
the
sets, it
colors,
was very
it was,
believable.
yeah, the kind of shadows and the playing with blacks, and a lot of it was very heavily backlit, um, desaturated. Yeah, I thought it looked really good, and
Hmm.
on top of that, it had some really incredible standout scenes and shots and looks throughout the movie, like the beach scene. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say what that scene was, but that scene in the ocean looked absolutely incredible. And yeah, there was a few of those really great scenes that looked good. Um, but yeah, I
I think
think,
another thing
yeah.
that they made, this show or this movie, I think to me felt like just two episodes of a TV show
Mm,
that were just in a season of The Sopranos. Like you said like some of the things and the overall consequence of it wasn't so grand, and I think that's kind of a misstep because it kind of has the feeling of just like two middle meandering episodes of
Hmm.
the Sopranos,
True. Like
and
separated by, in two different
yeah,
seasons, because
and
there's a
it
big
didn't
gap
have
between
this
them.
like this is the moment we need to show you because it's crazy and it's huge and massive. It
Hmm.
like yeah, it felt a little soft
Hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
The the plots and the storyline that we were seeing.
Hmm. Yeah. Um,
Did you feel that?
yeah, I totally agree. It was a bit meandery. It was a bit like, it was pretty unfocused. Um, maybe
Emotions weren't too high.
yeah, yeah. And I want to think that on some level, there is a deeper meaning at work here, with what they were trying to do, because I think the concept was really smart, and I want to give, kind of put faith in the team, on that writer, who has probably a better understanding of the show than anyone on the planet does.
Hmm.
And I asked myself, what was he trying to show us about Tony Soprano, or about the world of the Sopranos? And I think there's evidence of kind of a deeper meaning, but yeah,
Should we go into spoilers?
maybe we should go into spoilers and talk about some of that stuff a little bit
Yeah, let's
more.
talk about some more
So
details of the writing.
yeah, so I think we're both on the same page. Interesting.
I
There's a
enjoyed
lot
it.
to it. Yeah, I enjoyed it as
Especially being a
well.
fan of the series,
Hmm.
it
And
was, it was fun to watch.
especially if you haven't seen the series, don't run out and see it. Definitely watch the show first, and this might be kind of a cherry on top,
Hmm.
for you. But also don't expect anything grandiose. So yeah, let's jump into spoilers. So, spoilers. What
There
do you
was
think the deeper meaning was, or say what you were about to say?
you do the deeper meaning. That's what
Oh
you like
God.
to do. I will do some highlights scenes that I
Mm.
just thought you were talking about the writing, and you're saying I feel like this writer knew what he was doing. There's some moments that I was just like, this is really well done.
Hmm.
I really liked I forget the name, the like head of the entire family. That this is kind of like a backstory line to him taking over.
Dicky
Um,
Moltisanti, or
the bald guy.
the bald guy with the
Um,
glasses. It was
yeah,
Junior Soprano,
Junior. Yes, Junior Soprano.
yeah, he's the
It's
uncle,
kind
Tony's
of
uncle
like
in
this
the
whole movie,
series.
more than anything, is just kind of like a tertiary plot of him taking over the family on the
Yeah,
highest level.
yeah, yeah.
And I think it's kind of
True.
cleverly just hidden there,
Uh huh.
and I really liked that. And I good or bad, I mean, like our whole side plot throughout the whole movie, and you think it's gonna like come to this huge clash at the end, but really it's this junior soprano who ends our main character's life,
Hmm.
uh, kind of tossing a lot of the other stuff aside
Hmm.
because of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
particular the main conflict of the show with Harold McBriar's, conflict. When he died, I was positive that he was the one who killed him. But then it
yeah,
turns out, yeah, that it was Junior who just who who was just
Scott
pissed off
T.
at him because he laughed at Junior for falling on some for slipping
Yeah,
on some
the
stairs,
comments about his wife.
which
There's like three
yeah,
things that happened throughout the movie.
which actually,
And
coming looking at that character from the show, that actually totally makes sense. Junior is in the series is an extremely petty,
yeah,
um,
petty is the word.
petty person who, yeah, pulls this kind of stuff throughout the series.
It's very HBO writing.
Hmm.
Um, and I
Yes.
even like have flashes of like Game of Thrones and like the Red Wedding. Like it's just matter of fact. This is what happens.
Hmm.
The storyline and the grander characters don't care how this person died. It actually happened this way.
Yeah.
Um,
This is just
And
how
so
he died. This is how the character died.
yeah, it's petty as fuck.
What do you
And
want?
we've been watching all this other stuff happen that's
Yeah,
way bigger,
yeah,
but
yeah, definitely. And like they, they definitely don't hold your hand in this movie. You need to you just have to pay attention and follow along. One example, I kind of missed that Dickie Moltisanti was still married, or it kind of, I forgot about it, that he was still married to his wife
right.
throughout the movie, and
No, I got that.
yeah, I mean, I
There's one thing that confused me though, is when he was going to the like baseball game with his nephew and his mistress. Like that was so public in the
I'm
car.
trying to think that
Right, Dickie
was
Moltisanti's the main character, right?
yes,
Okay, yeah. Remember, he was in the car, like with the roof down, and the kids in the back, and he slaps one of them, and he
right, with his
with
girlfriend.
his mistress.
True. I don't know.
That was the one time where I was like, "This is super public. How does he
Yeah.
keep this under wraps?" Maybe he
Well,
doesn't really
I
have to.
guess
Maybe they have a.
I don't know. Maybe that is the kid's grandma.
I
Maybe
guess, yeah.
it's
Is
just
that
he was
just he's
just
like time to
taking.
take grandma out to a baseball game? We can all just hang out and
Yeah.
right in that scene when they're in the car together, they didn't do anything like
Yeah.
too flirty.
So
I mean, there
yeah, I
wasn't
mean,
time for
I'm
it.
trying to
Okay,
think like how long maybe were they married? Um,
right. So
probably
yeah,
I don't
his
know.
dad, he kills his dad, and then he probably okay. Yeah, we're coming up with all the story,
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Like he's like, we're gonna put you up in a house. We need to take care of her. The
yeah,
family has to take care of her,
yeah.
and so they go out to a
Very
baseball game.
family
Okay,
oriented thing. I
okay,
guess sure.
good. That
Maybe it
was
makes sense.
really. I
And
think
that's
you're right.
another thing. Like the movie doesn't hold your hand, and that's like what HBO. They're not going to hold your
Doesn't
hand.
hold your hand.
This is just a scene. If you don't get it, then that's your problem,
Hmm.
and you have to figure it out for yourself. They're not going to waste their time and the audience's time to explain why it's okay that she's in the car with the kids. But yeah, so the movie definitely doesn't hold your hand. Oh man, I was
I really liked the. I mean, a lot of these have to do with killing people, but I really liked the scene with him and his father in the garage,
yeah,
and how that escalated.
yeah,
After earlier that evening,
mm-hmm.
beating his wife, him finding out, and he didn't sit in that car with the intention to kill him, but he egged him on in this really particular way, and we hear about his like childhood trauma and
Mm-hmm.
his feelings because he obviously did it to his mother. His dad did that to his mother too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and it just escalated in that car so well to the point where he like it's kind of an accident. Right after he does it, he's just like, how what the fuck have I done? I don't know. So
Yeah,
there's just like so much anger and hatred,
and that
and
was
it escalated in a really good way.
really great performance too. Like after that,
Yeah.
when he's shocked at what he did, but then like Tony shows up and he like yells at Tony, and he's like kind of
Hmm.
panicking, but he's also like, yeah, that was a really interesting performance there.
That's to
Um,
like the car crashing
yeah,
forward and the bird flapping
yeah,
around. And it's just
yeah. It's so
it's a
well
good
written,
scene.
so well written.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then like the whole father story and how that like transitions into the brother, the uncle story, I guess. I thought that
That's
was,
that you were talking about the acting. He's a very good actor.
yeah,
He killed it in this movie.
Ray Liotta
And
or the
oh no, the main
main
character,
character.
the yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
Yep.
he was really good. I for a bit I thought it looks like Christian Bale.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if you got like skinny
No,
Christian Bale vibes.
I didn't.
Um, and like the fighter type time frame. I don't know, but I got a lot of vibes from that. But he had a great, solid performance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, yeah, I'm looking over his filmography. He was in a few movies. You Were Never Really Here. A Most Violent Year. Was he a main character in A Most Violent Year?
Oh, it makes sense.
I don't
Another.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think let's talk about one of the more interesting elements to this movie that I thought was his father, his relationship with his father, Ray Liotta, and then him killing Ray Liotta, and then feeling the need to go to his father's brother who is in prison for,
Mm-hmm.
who's I assume serving a life sentence in
Try to
prison.
be a live life of a saint.
What's that?
Try to be more of a saint.
Yeah, yeah. And try to do good deeds to his father's brother for forgiveness, for some deeper
Yeah.
meaning. But I thought that was such a smart way to have like this moral center to the movie, where and I almost got the vibes of he's actually he's sitting there having a conversation with either his father, but almost more like having a conversation with like God, which
Just like this,
I'm going
become
out.
this philosopher
Yeah.
reading every day in prison, just this
Yeah.
wise man.
And it's
Um,
almost like he's sitting there justifying his behavior and trying
yeah,
to, or not just trying to hide his behavior, because one thing
it's
that
pretty out of context. I wasn't sure what was the truth or not. Could he not have children? I thought there was another scene where I saw him with a baby.
who uh,
The
the
main
main
character.
character. Yeah, no, he
Yeah.
had. That is Christopher Moltisanti's father.
Right. So yes. So he said it takes like I like we can't have kids. It like takes a toll on me. And he like
Um,
straight up lied to him
was
at
he
that in that
talking
scene. And
about his girlfriend? I
oh,
don't quite remember. Was he talking about his girlfriend?
it
Mentioned
sounded like he was
no.
kind of changing the subject after he was grilling him about killing his father.
Hmm.
And he was like, and he was like, why,
Well,
what's
maybe
wrong?
I
And he's
guess
just like, I
maybe
can't
they.
bear children.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what that was about.
Did
He
he,
at that point
did he ever lead a
wasn't.
blind baseball league? Did
I
he ever
don't
coach
think
that? Was
so.
that real? Right.
I thought that
I
was
don't think so
not
either.
real, and like that kind of it's almost like that's kind of what I was saying. Like it's a conversation with God, and you. One interesting thing about gangster movies, Godfather and Sopranos, is the relationship of like this horrible, immoral crimes and violence with the religious, kind of mixed in with the religious iconography and the religious ceremony and everything, and how you can have these horrible, awful people, in have a alternate kind of life where they are at least trying to be good Christian people, very much a part of the church and going through all the Catholic ceremonies and everything.
Mhm.
And so like in that scene, I thought, I kind of felt like that in a lot of ways was that dynamic playing out, where he is this really, a violent, immoral person who is trying to trick his way into convincing Ray Liotta that he is a moral person,
Yeah.
and trying to do good deeds, but like almost
Yep.
to make up for the bad things that he was doing. And so like
You're right. I think
him
you're right.
talking about the baseball league for blind kids, and then trying to convince him that
He can't have children.
he can't have children, him trying to convince Ray Liotta that that he didn't kill his father and his girlfriend, whatever
Hmm.
she was to him. And at every point, Ray Liotta was just unpersuaded, just unconvinced, and you could just see that he could see right through him, and he was
Yeah.
just like kind of probing to get him to look at himself in a deeper way.
And
And
I
I thought
think it
those
really
scenes,
yeah,
go.
comes full circle really well. It comes full circle really well to Tony Soprano. And the one time he then isn't lying and tries to do a good deed, and the one person he kind of cares for and
Mm-hmm.
loves, his nephew, he he tries to get him out, or he tries to not um, get him to come into the family business
Mm-hmm.
by ignoring him. And and obviously he's torn up about it, and you kind of start seeing emotions for the first time when he has to leave him outside in the
Mm-hmm.
like in the cold.
Yeah.
And I think again, I think it's brilliant writing. Um, there's just like there's these pockets of brilliant writing where the neck before that comes to fruition, like anything comes of it, he dies,
Yeah.
and he's not able to like keep Tony away
Mm-hmm.
from the family business.
Yeah.
He's not able to send him off to college and have a good life. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
and
the
he died with a bag of those I don't know, maybe anti-anxiety or the sleep medication for Tony's mom, which also could have changed the trajectory of Tony Soprano, because if you've seen the show,
right,
his
yeah, she was
relationship with
like
his mom is is the
very
whole kind of
complicated.
the whole thing of the show, and the
Yeah,
whole thing about him going to
that's
therapy.
interesting because there's that final line at the funeral. He's like, you never know. He was a whack. He was probably a nut job. He
Oh
got caught
yeah,
with those medications.
yeah, and
Um,
his Tony's mom said that.
yeah, but I guess we're supposed to think that Tony's uncle would have enough influence that he could probably talk to the mom and get her to take him,
Yeah.
probably because people respect him a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. If one more day had gone by, the
Mm-hmm.
amount of change that could have happened to Tony's mom and Tony could have been really positive. But
Mm-hmm.
he got killed literally the wrong
Yeah.
night.
By by Junior Soprano for a
Yeah,
really petty reason.
it's
Um,
good writing. It's good
yeah,
ideas.
yeah, lots of good ideas. Again, and talking about all these good ideas, we haven't talked about kind of the main, I guess, plot line of the movie, which is the rival the rival crime guy,
Yeah, that's
who
like
is kind of
maybe
moving into town.
the most plot
Is
that's spent is between those two
mm,
characters,
yeah,
which is interesting. And like we said, like I almost like kind of forgot to talk about it because it actually kind of doesn't go anywhere,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
And
definitely.
it's kind of short shrifted by Junior Soprano's ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think that's one of the most disappointing parts of the movie
Mm-hmm.
is I don't know how it's connected too in depthly, and I don't know. And even like the last scene of the movie, it's like not post credits, but like the movie ends and then it shows one more scene
Mm-hmm.
of like that character, I don't know, just thriving, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool, but I don't know where this
But
are you
that is
setting up for a
even
sequel to this prequel? I didn't get
actually.
it.
I did actually read just today on Wikipedia that there was talk of a sequel, which I don't
So
know
okay,
if
that's what that was.
I don't know
All
if
right.
it will if they'll go into that.
The most
But
that
yeah,
that applied to everything was the mistress.
mm-hmm.
And what even is that? What's that character's name?
the
That we're talking about?
the Mitch or the main character is Dickie Moltisanti,
No,
or
no,
the
Harold.
Harold McBriar.
Yeah, Harold
Yeah.
McBriar. Him sleeping with with our main character's mistress,
Mm-hmm.
leading to him killing
Yeah, him
his
killing her.
mistress. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of maybe the biggest consequence of
Mm-hmm.
this whole side or this whole
Yeah.
main storyline, I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, several people get killed in that
But
exchange, but
they're kind of
yeah,
tertiary
uh,
characters.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Brandon,
I think it was a little bit of a misstep. Yeah.
we have gone long.
Oh
We kind of
shit.
thought that this was going to be a shorter episode, and I was kind of trying to pad some time early on, and it turns out that uh, that we've ended up going long anyways. But is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope. Actually, we covered a lot of good stuff.
I think we did too. Just like all around really good performances. I think it was kind of fun to see some old characters, younger versions of other characters from the show too. But yeah, I guess that's our thoughts. Kind of a lot of interesting stuff, but ultimately not sure if it's really stands on its own as a movie. But yeah, let's leave it at that. What do we have coming up next week?
James Bond.
Exciting. Bond. James Bond.
I'm very excited.
No Time to Die Tomorrow. Or something.
I think it's just No Time to Die.
Yeah, it's No Time to Die.
No Tomorrow.
No tomorrow to die for. Time. No Time to Die.
I actually can't wait. I've been very excited to see this movie.
Me too.
So
definitely. It looks really cool. And I think that's going to be me and you. Hopefully.
Probably.
Yeah,
maybe
I think Derek's in the middle of a big move right now, and if he has time, I think he's going to try and either join us or take one of the slots. But that's the show. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Follow us on your favorite podcasting app, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.